doesn't know how to answer a question. So of course, we've all been there where we spoke to a chatbot on the phone or live or text, and you have a question that they don't know how to answer, and it becomes incredibly frustrating. It takes way too long to get to an actual person to answer your customer. And then what that does over time is erode trust in the company, which for me is it overall it adds up. So over the course of many years, it's going to reduce your organic sales. It's going to reduce your word of mouth and referrals. So that's a major issue that I see, is that AI tools right now could potentially damage the customer experience if not used correctly.
Perfect. Thank you. So it looks like what you're saying is it may be great in terms of increasing efficiency, improving the number of touches that you have with a customer, but ultimately, if that ends up removing some of that customer delight, some of that personal touch, then that's quite a fair sacrifice.
Yeah, I think it would not be worth the sacrifice, but there is a way to make it work.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Elena. And then, so just to sum it up for folks just joining, Elena and I are having a conversation on which AI tools are able to help out optimize your funnels. So far, Elena, which tools have you mentioned?
I talked about chatbot, very easy to implement, very affordable. Warmly.ai, that one has a free up to 1,000 leads, so that can tell you who's been on your website. And then I also mentioned from a marketing perspective, copy editing tools, video tools. There's a lot of them out there.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. Then moving on. So we just discussed what the advantages of having the AI tools in your funnel. We've also discussed some of the risks, such as losing that personal touch, such as losing an opportunity to delight the customer. And so now, Elena, you've been testing Confidence, Happyverse Confidence, our avatars, for the past how long it's been? A few weeks. And yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you think, as a marketer, could you see them making the biggest difference in the funnel?
Yeah. So Confidence, for if anyone on the call hasn't tested them yet or looked at them yet, it is a replica of yourself on video and audio that sounds and looks just like you, that can talk to anyone in an interactive way. So for me, I really, really like it. I think it's super cool because, one thing, I've always had a dream of speaking every language in the world, and with Confidant, I can do that. And it's just something that sits on your site, looks exactly like a call like this, and can answer any question. So the way I've been using it right now is having it interact with cold outreach, which takes a lot off my plate, because the way things are moving now in marketing, there's leaner and leaner teams. There's a lot less time, and people are very strapped for time. So the more you can outsource, and you don't outsource to someone else, you outsource yourself, the more time you have to focus on, making sales or having higher quality leads. So instead of engaging with a generic customer service agent or like a text agent, this is a person that you can put a face to your company that lives on your website. So I think that's very novel, and I think it's super cool. I think you might be on mute.
My bad. I always do that, even on Zoom calls. But yeah, so it's exciting to hear how excited are you to see what potential the Confidants have. But I'd also love to hear a bit more about, other than how cool the technology is, where specifically do you see it? What specific benefit do you see it in addressing some of these challenges that we've gone over that are coming with AI and with other AI tools?
Absolutely. Well, the first one is it puts a face to the company. So whereas a generic like text bot that we've seen, um, it could be, you don't know who's there. It could be anyone. It feels very impersonal. Now you have an actual face, and you can even put the title of who that person is in the company. So already for me, that builds trust and reliability and credibility for, especially for new companies like startups, which have a name that isn't a household name yet. The second one, and it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is the lead quality portion. A lot of a huge piece of the puzzle in marketing is to identify those qualified leads that are ready to buy today. Because in marketing right now, the way things are tracked from a financial perspective is every dollar spent, how much dollars do I get back? So the closer you can get to identifying your high quality leads and not focusing on people who are never going to buy, the better you are to improve that metric. With a confidant in place that can ask questions, speak like you, and answer very knowledgeable questions, because you can feed it basically a prompt of information. Think of it kind of like how ChatGPT learned a bunch of information. You can do the same with Confidant. It can identify right away who is not going to buy versus who is a hot lead. And by doing that, it can immediately pass it on to a sales team, which would already improve website funnel and metrics. So to me, that's very exciting.
Interesting. So the way you see it is that the confidant can be there to qualify leads, to have that initial conversation, to put a face to the information, build some of that initial trust. But ultimately, you don't see a confidant closing the lead. You think that that's something that where a real person still has their spot. And if you could go a bit deeper into why is that, and how do you see that process happening?
Sure. I think that what makes a person be able to close a lead can be, there's sometimes regulatory restrictions depending on the industry. Let's say for a place that's just like a software service, or anyone could technically close them that day. It is very nuanced for selling a particular item. For example, as a salesperson, you're always trained to upsell, to see what are the exact needs and how you can fill them. And so I don't think an AI can do that right now, because there are just very um, very detailed pieces of information that someone can drop as they're speaking to you, that takes a certain level of awareness to identify them. So I think that a confidant should make that initial assessment, because it would be excellent at gathering data. A salesperson can quickly review what was talked about and then formulate a plan from there.
Hmm. And as I'm aware, in a lot of these hot customer leads, time is of the essence, and having a live person talking with a customer as quickly as possible while they're still intent to buy, while they're still excited about your product, that's key. So how do you see that interplay between a confidant and the real life person coming in there? So let's imagine I have a mid-size software business, and the customer comes on, chats to a confidant, like what could be the next step? How could that next step work?
Yeah. Well, I think a confidant would do an excellent job of getting someone excited about the product and getting someone, really good information like a demo, certain, let's say, booklets or whatever the company has to get someone engaged. When I was doing a sales role, I would call this the golden retriever role. So this is getting someone highly engaged, answering a lot of questions, being very presentable, very easygoing, and not putting too much sales pressure. Just letting them know, here's a product, here's what we do. And the golden retriever only works if it's passed on to a closer. Otherwise, it is, it's like a little bit of a, here's the information, now you decide, and then the closer comes in with all, they're already, the customer is already in a good place. So it's like passing the ball and then dunking the ball. So that's kind of how I see the interaction between the two.
I'd love to work with you on the future on creating that golden retriever confidant. That perfect, friendly
Yeah.
greeter who can help you provide all the information and get the customer excited about the product, and then do that
You're
pass for the LeBron James slam dunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do also think it's really cool. I just love that idea of the confidants not replacing the person, but helping them be there, like right as the person clicks. The first thing they're able to see is a face. They're able to talk to somebody, even though it's not a real person, even though it's a digital confidant. It's still somebody who can build that trust, who can provide that information. Show the demo. I actually want to plug in an interactive screen, the confidant being able to show a bunch of pictures, a bunch of slides. I just think that's really cool. And then once that demo is shown, hand it off to the real person, the pro who's been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years. And then they can bring in the creativity, that art to close the sale.
Absolutely. And another good thing about, so again, a confidant is someone that sits on your, not someone, but your visual representation, like a Zoom that sits on your site. Another good thing about that and the golden retriever role is that it totally reduces the pressure. So if the customer, especially a first time customer, knows they're coming on the site and they don't have to, a lot of people have a sales resistance. If they know they're being sold to, they're immediately like, I have to be careful. I don't want someone to influence me. If it's a confidant, an AI on the other side that is simply asking questions, providing information, and is being very, very engaging and friendly, that right away reduces the pressure, allows the person to ask maybe questions they wouldn't have asked an actual human being. And it could be a very interesting segue for a real salesperson coming in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Oh, in my experience with confidence, I've seen some people, and of course it's the internet, some people asking the stupidest questions of the confidants, and some people are actually going really deep, discussing their company's needs, and having that conversation. I do think that people are a bit less worried about wasting an AI confidence time than they are about talking to a salesperson. So that's something that I found cool when using our own product. But okay, let's make sure this doesn't turn into that aggressive sales pitch that you said
I'm already
confidants to stay
sold.
away from. Sorry.
I said I'm already sold. No pitch needed.
All right. Let's move on. So we've discussed a bit about how AI is reshaping the funnel, how what risks is that reshaping bringing to the funnel, where confidence, so that's the Happyverse product, along with a set of other tools, including Warmly, including chatbots, where all of these fit into the funnel. And then the next question is, it's a little bit more in the realm of science fiction. So looking ahead, let's say a year or two, how do you see AI changing the way marketing teams think about funnels overall?
I love this question because it's a good place to use your imagination. AI is changing so quickly and so exponentially that what we can see today in 2 years, we could be living in a completely different world. So this is a guess. So don't check me on it in 2 years. But I think that I think for me, if I could make a prediction, it would be that what we're seeing in marketing is ads are getting very, very expensive. There was a golden era of digital ads, something like 10 to 15 years ago, where this was like a almost like a life hack. You can pay a lot less for a Google ad, you can close a sale, and you're not spending money like you would on TV, where you just throw it to everyone. But that kind of has happened in digital ads today. So digital ads are now extremely expensive and not as good as they used to be. So people want to pay less for an ad. They want to go straight to the lead. They want to go straight to the sale. That's where things are moving towards. And AI can get us there. Something like a confidant can help build a dynamic ad. Imagine an ad where you have a person talking to you instead of just like a picture of an item that you should buy. It's a person on the corner that is able to answer your actual questions about that item. That's a completely different experience than what we have today. So I think that, especially for service industries where there's a ton of different questions, for example, I used to work at a senior service industry where our FAQ page was over 100 questions long. Something like a confidant, you no longer need an FAQ page. You can just have the person interact with you directly. So there's these places, these barriers to closing a sale right away that a confidant and AI can shorten, and that's where I see the biggest potential.
And so our confidants, the goal is that they look and sound like you, but there are other avatars, digital humans in the space. So there are chatbots, as you mentioned. So where do you see there is space for a chatbot? Where do you see is the role of the cartoon polar bear, and where do you see is the role of a confidant who actually looks like the founder or one of the team members?
Yeah. The easiest one would be in a B2B software sale, because typically right now, the way those things go, book a demo and then you go on the calendar, and then, how many people are no shows? How many people cancel? It's probably, depends on the industry, but I would suggest 50% cancellation or no show rate. So if the way you can reduce that time, instead of book a demo, get a live demo right now, you would have so many more people at least getting their foot in the door of just being on the demo call. Already you have someone who's engaged, who saw the product, who can see how it's being used, and then more importantly, they actually interacted with someone and were able to ask questions. So that's something that's for the confidant. Whereas something else, maybe it's like a widget, like if you're selling socks, you probably don't need an advanced confidant to sell something like that. So I would say for something that's a more considered buy versus like a low end impulse buy, like a socks, you would have a very different experience in how AI can solve those two problems.
Gotcha. So for something that is like that high ticket item with a live demo that requires a lot of visual assets, well, a lot of conversation, or maybe let's say expensive coaching services, or very expensive coffee or something, where our person is actually, it's not an impulse buy, they're actually thinking about it. Do I want to go with this option, or let's say let's not do the coffee, let's say maybe a piece of electronics. So they're considering different options, and that's where a confidant, which, like, to be honest, it is going to be a more expensive solution than most chatbots. That's where you see it coming in. Meanwhile, if it's a bit of a low ticket, a bit more of a impulse buy, a pair of $7 socks on Amazon, or on an independent website, that's where you see a chatbot is sufficient. People are going to just ask a couple of questions and proceed on their merry way.
I think so. I think that another, because I implemented chatbot for my previous company, I've seen what drives people to use that. A huge piece of people who use that tool, they were looking for customer service help. So that's another way that I can see Confidant really picking up is in, I want to return something. I want to exchange it. I want to, I have a question if someone is going to come to my house and deliver it, can they use this number? Can they call me at this number? So the customer service aspect was more than 50% of how that chatbot was used. The sales aspect was actually quite low. It was almost like 10%. And then the other portion was gathering information, like who are you? What is this company? And how much does it cost? Those kinds of questions.
Interesting. And it sounds like you see a confidant having that same split between, that initial information sourcing, that customer support, and that lead qualification and demos.
I think that's what I see. But of course, as a marketer slash sales, I'm always trying to get it to go into sales mode. So that's in the back of my mind. How do I make a sale out of this? I don't care if they have, if they want to return something, how can I make them buy something else while they return it? That's just how I think.
Gotcha. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of businesses do want it that way. They may return it. They may be returning an item, but let's get them to buy something else. It doesn't seem that crazy a concept to me.
It doesn't. And fun fact, a slight tangent, but I did a study where if you return something in your head, you think of it as money earned, even though it's your own money that you spent. You think of it as new money that you got. So you're kind of thinking it as like, oh, well, I just have this extra $50, might as well spend it now. So it's a great opportunity to get the customer to buy something else, and Confidant could do that.
Interesting. Great. So so we've looked a bit about how AI is going to change funnels over the next year or two. And now let's zoom out even further and just go crazy. So how do you imagine the website itself evolving, let's say in a perspective of 4 to 5 years? Do you see websites just going extinct? Do you think there is still a spot for them? How would they look like in a world where AI and experiences like confidence are just part of the day-to-day, part of the default?
Yeah. I like your question of, do I see websites as going extinct? I do think that there is a tendency right now for, again, like back in the day, the website was like a huge driver of like customer decision, sales, engagement. And today, a website is like a piece of your brand where people are kind of like, okay, they have a website, they have an Instagram, they have a TikTok. But where do they actually make the final decision? It's a little bit, it's interesting. It depends on the industry. It depends on the ticket sale. So I feel like in the future, a lot of the customer decision is going to be made through a ton of different channels, which we're already seeing now. But for me, the more I can engage someone, the more I can, you know, I don't want to say poke at someone, but just be on their radar, the better it is. So phone call, text message, website, anything to drive engagement. So I think that AI can really transform this whole ecosystem of how someone interacts with a brand through all different types of channels.
Perfect. So the website would still exist, right? Just kind of trying to get my thoughts.
Oh, yes. Yeah, long-winded answer. Yeah, website would definitely still exist. Definitely, it would be a red flag if a company does not have a website. It would be a little bit weird. So website would still exist, but more like a showcase, and less of like it doesn't hurt to have a buy now button, but more of like, here's what we can do. Here's some stories. Here's some kind of these. I guess what I'm talking about is a little bit more like a website that looks like a social media, honestly, like more of like a media platform, a way to engage and get to know the brand more.
And I see we actually have our first question from the audience from Laura.
Yes.
So Laura is asking if the current AI solutions have an option for the customer to request a refund or a product exchange in real time. So I can say on our end, confidence at the moment they do not. We're looking at some of those CRM, inventory management systems integrations, but at the moment they do not. Please reach out to me either through DM or by email at val@happyverse.ai, and we can go a bit deeper into your use case and think about what we may be able to do there. But Elena, considering you have that much broader view, like what solutions would you recommend to this viewer based on your experience? What have been some of these best chatbots that may have this functionality?
Yeah. So I think that's an excellent question because it goes back to delighting the customer and making sure that you reduce any kind of friction and any reason to give the customer to leave your website. You don't want to give them any reason. So chatbot, the solution is the company is literally called Chatbot, and you can integrate it with Zendesk. So we did this, and if a person goes through, there's so many different flows. It was very interesting to build it because when I thought that, okay, this is the last question that someone can ask, there could not be any additional questions. Someone always asks a different question. There's like hundreds and thousands of questions that someone can ask. It was fascinating. So if you build a certain type of flow that's not answerable by the chatbot, or that clearly leads to like an account issue, you can integrate that to Zendesk, and it will connect you to a live customer service agent within a few seconds.
Gotcha. So what you saw specifically for the chatbot tool is that so could it also process these refund requests or these exchange requests also, or was that something where it just referred directly to Zendesk?
It could. So you could build a customer profile, so you can inject it with a ton of information. If the customer provides, whatever verification tools, it could do a simple refund based on what what you give it. But a simple refund is so rare. Like I would say maybe one person out of thousands had a simple refund. Most cases were pretty complex. And that's why the Zendesk option and having a live person was essential right now, because yes, from point A to point B, sure, very easy to do a chatbot, but most problems are actually interestingly complex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you. And yeah, Laura, I hope we've answered your question here. So we don't have the functionality yet for Confidant, but we are considering it. So we're ready to chat about your use case. I think we always love talking with our customers. But of the existing solutions, there is a chatbot out there. It sounds like it's literally chatbot.ai, chatbot.com.
Yeah, .ai.
.ai that already has some of these integrations and may help you out right here, right now. So we still got 5 minutes, so please feel free to shoot any questions you may have in the chat. Otherwise, I feel, Elena, it's our opportunity to keep. Yeah, no probs. No probs. It was a really interesting question. Elena, I feel it's our opportunity to keep the conversation going and keep thinking about where are the funnels going, and in general. So we've talked a bit. You mentioned Warmly, which I understand is a tool that allows you to track some of the folks entering your website to understand, are these real, serious, interested buyers? We've touched on chatbot, of course. We've touched on confidants. So is there any other tool that you think there is a gap in the market and you see something coming in and helping tackle some of these problems that our marketers and entrepreneurs are facing today?
Yeah, I think that for me, a tool that's missing right now is of course, there's a ton of tools that do customer insights, customer data, but I think that one really great tool would be something that combines all of the input that AI receives and then condenses it into a customized solution for every customer.
Hmm.
So in the past, that would sound crazy because there's thousands of customers. There's no time to do personalized for everyone. But today, an AI could actually do that and instantly. So I don't think there's anything out there right now. I would love to see it. So, for example, a customer that um, has responded from a flyer, that has clicked on certain links in email, that has sent certain questions via the chatbot, creating a customized outreach solution for that person specific.
Uh-huh.
Um, Today, with AI, it can be done. Previously, it would be impossible.
Gotcha, gotcha. No, and like as you said, there is this huge outreach, and outreach has become a lot easier with, for one, the LinkedIn bots that are writing to everybody about 50 times a day.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a lot more about personalizing that outreach, about making it uh, a bit more effective, a bit more, how would you say it, applicable to that specific person situation. All right, so we have another person, and it seems that Nick is a bit is asking, how worried should we be about AI replacing marketers? Basically, Elena, are you about to lose your job?
I think that is a super interesting question. How worried should we be? Yes, we should be worried, but not in a scary way. The idea is that now you have AI that needs to be managed by a marketer. So I guess it's kind of like having a machine, like having any kind of, I don't even know, but like instead of me being doing everything. Now my employees are AI. So I am now a five-headed person instead of just being just me. So I think it's like a super tool. But if you previously were in a very simple job, then yes, you should be worried. If before you were always looking to integrate different types of technology, then you are a superpower. For me, I never really knew how to code. I dabbled in it a little bit. And I'm like, I was always maybe regretting that I never learned how to do it. And now I'm like, wow, I am so lucky because I actually did not need to learn that. So I can do so many things with all of these tools. I can be one person with five employees that are all AI. So it's an interesting time.
Gotcha. So it sounds like yes, there is a risk, but if you're able and willing to upskill yourself, you can really use that opportunity to become like crazy efficient, crazy effective, scale yourself.
Yeah. And if not, you'll be the person managing the AI. So the AI will be the star and you will be kind of you will be the AI's employee basically because any tool like, even a computer needs maintenance and checkups and all of that stuff. So um, it's either the AI is your employee or you're the employee of AI.
And so, would you say that in your past startups, were you the employee or were you one of AI's employees?
I was definitely the one employing AI because one thing about being a marketer and that no other job really has is the opportunity to be creative. And I think that's like having different ideas, trying things very, very quickly, new things that you have to be living in the real world to identify. That's the one thing AI can't do. It doesn't live in the real world. Um, so it's a fun time for me.
Perfect. Thank you. And I mean, I do feel other jobs. Come on, they product managers also get a chance to be creative every now and then. You can create a fun title for that product requirements document or something like.
Not as you don't know what I'm crafting behind the scenes. My persuasion tactics, they're very fun.
I don't. I imagine that's with your five-headed AI hydra that you're planning, that it can get dangerously efficient. But yeah, so I see that we're at time, and it looks like we've answered a few folks' questions. I want to make sure that I know some folks have only been able to join, halfway through the conversation. So to sum it up, we've discussed today tools, various AI tools that may be able to help the funnel, improve your website funnel with our guest, Elena, who has a 10-year background in marketing at Angie at AIG. We went over some of the AI tools that are able to improve efficiency, such as Warmly, such as Chatbot. We have, such as, of course, Happyverse Confidence. We have gone into some of the challenges these tools may bring, such as that loss of customer contact, such as that loss of customer trust. And then we talked a bit with Elena about confidence, and how she thinks that it's one of the rare tools that is able to preserve customer trust in that interaction. And even though they can't do everything just yet, and there's definitely a role for that salesperson to bring that creativity, to bring their art to closing the deal, Elena believes that confidence can be there to help qualify leads and to help do the initial demo. And then we had a bit of a sci-fi discussion about where do we see marketing and even the website moving within the next 2 to 5 years. So, Elena, is there anything you think I missed in my summary?
I think that, Val, if you could tell us like where to learn more about confidants, where to try a live interaction, that could be cool because they are very fun to try out.
Yeah, for sure. You can just go to happyverse.ai. You'll see the little logo at the top of the screen, and there you'll see yours truly. If you log in, you will also see Elena and her I don't know. I feel this one, your current confidant, is not quite a golden retriever, but it's nice, but it's not like golden retriever nice yet.
And you can also make your own. It takes less than 5 minutes. So it's kind of fun.
The fastest I've gotten has been under 3 minutes, but yeah, it is really fast. Thank you for giving us a quick plug in the end. I wanted to make sure that the folks who joined here, yeah, if there is one parting thought about marketing, about funnel optimization that folks should be thinking about in the context of AI, what is it?
I think it's to absolutely stay on top of every single trend because it is changing so fast and no one knows what is going to come out as the winner. But the more informed you stay about it, the better off you will be in the future. So, I'm sure everyone is like, of course I'm on top of it. I'm using ChatGPT, but Confidant proves that there's tools out there that are so advanced that most people might not even know that they're existing right now. So to stay on top of it really means being at the forefront of innovation, like being proactive about what's out there, being on calls like this. So it is essential in terms of how expensive ads are getting and how tight marketing budgets and how strict finance departments are getting, that to survive in this industry, you need to know at every single stage, where can I save costs and improve efficiency? So that should be your best friend, that mantra.
Perfect. Thank you. And yeah, if you want to find out more and stay on top of AI, we have these monthly webinars where we bring folks like Elena, folks from various different areas who are interacting with AI to talk about confidence, but also talk about a lot of these other cool AI tools that we're seeing in the market today and how they can help you, how they can help your business. And yeah, so sign up for our group. I'd love to see more of you at our next event. Elena, thank you so much for joining. It's been super valuable for me to hear some of your thoughts. I think some of them we will even implement on our own Page, of course, we already have the Confidant, but some of these other tools, I think they could also be really useful for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who joined, and the questions were very interesting. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Goodbye.